pew, pew. How are you, buddy? Welcome to our 50th episode of Meet the Soccers.
I'm feeling 50. Are you?
We now have more sequels than the mediocre movie that we decided to name our podcast after. There are more, episodes of Meet the Soccers than there are movies in the Meet the Fockers franchise.
Which was Meet the Parents, Meet the Fox. Isn't there only two?
Yeah. So we've had it for a while, but it seemed like a nice time to bring it up.
Feels nice to have a title. It feels nice to hold the record.
It does.
Now I know what it's like to be Harry Kane. What it's not like to be Harry Kane because he doesn't have the record.
Yeah, I was going to say, not known for having a lot of titles.
Well, no, I mean...
Scoring titles, maybe.
No, well, that was the thing. I was like, oh, he's the record goal scorer in the Premier League, but he isn't because he left Spurs this past summer, so this would have been the... By the way, let me get out ahead of this. The elephant in my mouth is I had some minor surgery yesterday. Gonna be fine, but I am high off my ass on painkillers right now. So maybe Jeff should Jesus take the wheel for the rest of the day.
Do you actually feel high, or do you just you just know that you're on painkillers and
I'm gonna ramble? Yeah, I'm gonna ramble way worse than normal. So if I do, Jeff, just ka-ching. No, that's the sound of making money. Just
shut up, Schuyler. No.
Yeah, do a gentle shut up, Schuyler. Do it like Schuyler. Schuyler, you know that thing we talked about earlier where
remember we used to do all the time back in the day when you shut the fuck up?
I don't recall that period of my life.
Yeah, no. We're still waiting on that era.
When I was a second, third grade, I was a New Jersey State karate silver and bronze medalist.
Wow.
In the state
silver
championship.
And bronze.
For
so did you fight
different
yourself?
events.
Okay.
No, it wasn't like Karate Kid. I was not good at the actual sparring.
Oh, so you weren't fighting other kids? You were
no way
demonstrating skills?
No, I was fighting other kids during the week at school. So I was like,
this kid's a natural. It's like he's been sparring his entire life.
but in truth, I just didn't want my ass to be kicked the 6th and 7th time. But anyway, so when I was I lost my train of thought. There was such a point to that.
Wow,
right. So when I was in karate, When I was in karate, the one thing that really sucked about going to the practices during the week was they had a no talking policy in between. Like you're not talking unless the teacher is addressing you. 10 push-ups every time you spoke. Somehow I made it 2 years without getting super jacked, but I did that was what eventually drove me out of karate. Was I just got sick of doing push-ups as I became more verbal.
Oh wow. The point of that story was that you were actually a quiet kid at one point?
I mean, well, yeah, because I had nobody to talk to before podcasts. I just as a young kid, I was not a cool. This may shock you. If you listen to this podcast, you have dropped or spilled a drink. Some sort of dramatic record scratch just happened. You're like, what? No, I was a huge nerd. I was a sweet little boy in the rough streets of Pequannock, New Jersey. Wow, I'm on Percocet and it's all just coming out. Jeff, you need to do the...
No. More of your life story. We're only 4 minutes and 30 seconds in, bud.
No, but yeah, whatever. I needed karate. The end of that story.
So as we were saying, Newcastle and Arsenal played last weekend, and
I warned
you. You're not the only person who's verbalizing, because I feel like that every weekend there's a giant refereeing controversy in the Premier League, and I could be biased, obviously, because this one involves my team, but. Is it just me, or has no one shut the fuck up about the Newcastle Arsenal VAR in question?
I mean, they eventually shut the fuck up because Newcastle's it's been a minute, I guess, since we've last potted, and there's been a bunch of matches, but Newcastle's become so injury depleted that they're getting their butts kicked by Bournemouth.
Yeah. which is it's also quite annoying. Just give us the goddamn points.
But that changed the narrative a little bit. But there's still been like a horrible VAR apology every weekend and sometimes
No.
twice on Sundays. So
It's been
that's the topic that I think still persists, is just VAR has become so poorly utilized. It's like a child driving a bus. Like a bus could be great, it could be helpful. When a child is driving it, it will kill people.
yeah. I mean, the thing that they've done now, I think only 2 times, was with the Liverpool bad call and now with the Newcastle Arsenal one, they've released the audio. And have you poured over these audio tapes the way
They
that I have, as
they've
if they were the
released
Zapruder film?
they just released the audio for I think it was the goal that we scored in the beginning of the Luton match that got taken back for that subjective offsides. They released the audio for that too, and you got to hear the whole conversation back and forth. And I like, yay for belated transparency.
Yeah.
But like, if it doesn't affect the outcome being better, and if it doesn't affect the product improving, then who gives a fuck about you sharing how you came to your bad decision?
I do find it very interesting and very telling. And I mean, for my money, I would be very okay with them just sort of having that as the default. Like I think it's often
But
brought up here
live.
because yeah, exactly. Because like
Okay.
if you in other sports, for instance, like I believe this is true of both cricket and rugby, but we're really testing the edges of my British sports knowledge here. But for both of them, I think when they go to video review, you're hearing the referee the whole time. And I don't know. I mean, when you hear these guys, they're kind of chuckleheads, and it's easy to see. With the Liverpool game, I'm trying to remember who they were playing against, but basically there was a goal that was awarded that should not have been, and they were sort of, or was it the other way around? Anyway, whatever it was, they were sort of talking past each other. We're like, is that a good goal? And he goes, no, it's not a goal. Okay, confirmed. Like it was like that sort of like just completely missing each other. And it seems very easy to do based on these systems. I don't know. I just it kills me. It seems like it shouldn't be bad, but it is. I mean, I just watched the Newcastle Arsenal one, and within it, you hear them making mistakes as to the basic nature of how offsides is called. Like just knowing the definition of the rule. Because I think like the one thing that will never be perfect about VAR is
Is the
there
human
will always
beings involved
yeah.
in it?
It's a game that requires some subjective, qualitative decision making from time to time. And so there are going to be moments where you like one of the moments in this particular call, there's sort of 3 problems with it. There's like, did the ball go out of bounds? Did Gabrielle get fouled? Was it actually really 4? Was it a handball? And then while that guy was doing the handball, was the guy that ended up scoring offside. So there's all those like crazy variables to think about. The most subjective of those is this a foul? I don't know. Like it's a push from behind, like
All
probably a
right.
foul, but maybe not.
So part of what we're discussing is that there's like become this incredible nuance to the rules of soccer
Yeah.
that, do you remember, I mean, didn't really exist when we both started watching football. And like, even though sometimes the referees in real time would make the wrong decision, oh God, it just started raining here. Can you hear that?
No,
Wow.
actually.
Well, you might start to hear rain. I apologize. But even though the refs, using just their own human senses and interpretation of the game in real time would like get things wrong sometimes, like this like pixel fucking of the game
Yeah.
is like not fun. And it's like, who, I don't really know who that benefits other than like gambling being accurate. But like beyond
Yeah.
that,
Or inaccurate if that's your game. Like I do think that there's a real concern that VAR could be used to fuck with gambling markets.
that I mean, that is true as well. But like, are you in the side of thing? Because I still think you could use technology to help you make the game, yes, at times more accurate, but like should be speeding up the game. It shouldn't be slowing down the game. We shouldn't be having to add 10 minutes of stoppage time because somebody needed 5 minutes to like frame, back and forth
Yeah.
to see if it was offsides or not. Or also like all of the we will get to this in a minute, but like the slow-mo for just like looking for red cards, just red card hunting stuff. Like
Yeah.
it get every like I'm not we're not gonna be the first people to say this, but like everything looks really bad when you go frame by
Sure.
frame by frame, slow as hell. When in real time you may have just like momentum took you too far. Like I don't,
Yeah. I think that's very true. I mean, it's literally like one of the oldest sketches in sketch comedy is like they show you people walking by each other, and then they show you the same people walking by each other in slow-mo, and then you can see the guy getting mugged, and then it's super slow-mo, and now they're like shaking the guy upside down. You know what I mean? And it's true. Everything looks more deliberate in slow motion. And I agree with you completely that like I
But it's
I
not
don't
how
like
that's not how we experience it. It's not how the players experience it. So
no.
really, you should be watching it at the speed of how the benefit of what the players had at their disposal,
Right.
which was real time information in real time.
Yeah, and I like the idea of I would love to know more about the technology, but I like the idea of like a automated or semi-automated offsides call where it's like it's such a I mean, if you've ever played with FIFA replays as I have for hours at a time, like when you decide the ball is like leaving his foot, like that moment is so that affects so much because in those 200ths of a second, I mean, because you can do the math on it. There's 50 frames in these cameras that shoot the games. So that means each frame is 200ths of a second. And then you look
But
at how
how do you
fast.
know? But how do you really know when contact was made? Like
Exactly. Well, for one thing, like you're not going to get it exactly. You're going to get it within 200ths of a second. And then the other thing is that, like within 200ths of a second, think about how fast someone who's running, say, a 4.240, how much ground they're going to cover. It's enough to put you offside. And so that's one of the problems I have with VAR is that we're treating it like magic. It's kind of like a general problem with like the 20th century is that you look at a picture and you assume, oh, this is reality, but actually it's not. There's all sorts of ways that it can trick your eye. There's all sorts of ways that the lens is not showing you reality. And it doesn't work as well as people want it to. And so I think with that in mind, they need to come up with something that is more humanly enforceable. And it's
what do
like
you mean?
it's
What do you
just
mean? What do you mean humanly enforceable? Explain it. Explain it like I'm on Percocet.
yeah, I will. I don't I don't know if I have the exact solution, but like I think offside worked for a long time because people knew that it could only be judged at people speed.
Yeah.
And now that we can judge it at something slightly higher than people speed, but we're still people, it's fucked up and nobody knows how to trust it. And they've essentially ruined the best moment in sports, which is that moment right after your team scores a goal.
Have
And
you
I
seen?
think there needs to be another way to do it. Like,
Have you seen how they do it in I think La Liga?
I'm
It's
not sure I have.
semi-automated now,
Yeah.
and I do not actually understand how they do it, but it's
Hmm.
like they give you these three-dimensional recreations of the offside line. Like they must have sensors up and down the sides of the pitch.
Are these
Uh,
the graphics where like you can see someone kind of running through like a grayish blue wall?
uh, maybe. I'm Liga semi-automated offsides. I'm just gonna look it up because I don't want to speak out of turn. Yeah,
We always
yes,
let the
Jeff, yes, yeah. So it's like a blue pitch, and there's like a white plane, and it shows where their body parts are breaking the plane. The white
yeah
plane is the offsides line in theory. I wish I could send something to you in this StreamYard situation.
on the
Private chat
internet.
here. Private chat.
Is
Oh,
there? Wow, we've
go to
never
private chat.
used this function. Yeah, I see it. Um,
Wait, we got a comment from Diggs BTW7 says, "Hey, what's up, G? Uh, this is a historic moment on our 50th episode. We have our first comment.
I just starred it. I don't even know what that means. I hope they don't get that guy put on
Dig,
like a government watch list. Diggs BTW.
Diggs, yeah, Diggs
Diggs, by the way.
BTW. We doxed you,
Diggs.
Diggs.
By the
Oh,
way,
this is.
7.
I think this comment is coming from Twitch. I'm just understanding the
Yeah,
technology that
I'm
we
getting that
use.
too.
All right, Diggs, that makes a lot more sense.
Appreciate it, Diggs.
I am so high right now in like an almost unpleasant way.
You're ready to talk about like the intricacies of officiating.
Jeff, by the way, I didn't even really let you talk about Newcastle Arsenal. If you want to talk about the match at all, or is it really
I
just
mean, the
because we
game
went on
itself
this
is like
VAR?
weirdly forgotten. It's all about this like sort of VAR craziness. I mean, I think a lot of the things that I've been saying about Arsenal for a while now are like we're a pretty good team, but we could probably score some more fucking goals. Definitely
No,
apply in that game because if it, you know what I mean, even if we had walked away with some points from that instead of getting skunked at Newcastle, that's a big difference. But on the bright side, I don't think that anyone in charge is going to fix it. And I also think that the fact that the owners of Newcastle have been flying the referees to Saudi Arabia for all expenses paid trips is probably not
yeah.
a good look for the league. Um, I mean, at the
By the
very least,
way,
it presents a conflict of interest. I kind of I don't go into the conspiracies too hard. Like I don't think that there's actually a conspiracy to get any one team. I think they're mostly just inept. I don't think that referees are being paid off in giant briefcases of cash for the most part. I'm sure there's like some weird drug deal. It's been done once or twice, but like for the most part, I actually think the referees are like trying to have integrity. I just think that's something you can't do. Like you can't allow yourself to be influenced. You know what I mean? There's a
but
reason.
But you kind of just said two different things though, right? Like if they were trying to have integrity, they wouldn't I'm not going to go
True,
freelance
true.
for X.com, formerly known as Twitter. Like cuz that would be icky. That would not be a good thing to do. And like I feel like if you go to take a weekend refereeing gig in Saudi Arabia, like where the money's coming from right off the bat.
Dead
Agreed. But
dinosaurs.
also, if you'll recall, Percocet lucidity is allowing me to recall that in an earlier episode we discussed part of how we thought we could fix refereeing is just by paying referees a lot more. Like think
Yeah,
about how important
for
the
sure.
end result is. Why aren't we investing more than I think like Premier League referees make like what 200 300 grand a year, something like that, which is like good money for sure, but not enough at the top level of the game when the results are mattering
Yeah,
so much that we're getting into technology fuckery.
for
Um,
sure.
help me, man. Take this NFL handoff.
No, I think you're 100% right about that. I think ultimately, I don't know. I still like your take that you could solve this with a reality show. You know, it seems like the kind of thing where like we're not even really asking for perfection. We're just asking for like consistency and like even just knowing the rules. You know what I mean? Like knowing them inside and out, knowing what constitutes an offside. There's a guy on the Newcastle tape that you can listen to who's saying, "Oh yeah, he's well behind Gabrielle there. So he must be onside." And it's like, actually, if you know the rule, one of the most basic things about it is it's not that you have to be behind one defender, it's that you have to be behind two, and the goalie usually counts as a
Counts
sort
as
of,
one.
you know, that's usually the other one that you're just looking for them to be behind one defender, like outfield player. But if the goalie has moved up, then that is not the case anymore. And it's like just basic mistakes like that being made time and time again on a very slowed down time scale now with VAR. I don't know what the fix is, but
Well,
I do.
because there's so
I
much
think
nuance in the rules, Jeff, and they keep changing every 6, 12, 18 months. Like the fact that we as fans watch and have sort of our feelings about what the rules are, but we don't even necessarily know to the letter of
yeah,
the
it's
law
hard to
from one
point.
season to the next. Even these professionals are seeming to struggle with the changing interpretations of rules. It's like the Bible. It's like how every few years they're like, oh, actually, the shellfish thing doesn't mean anything anymore. You can have shellfish because new interpretation of what we're doing here. But like, so just to finish things up, Newcastle, like, was it Anthony Gordon scored the goal? Was it a good goal? I didn't watch.
No,
This is yours.
Basically the goal was it got lumped into the box. Joelinton, I believe it was Joelinton, pushed Gabriel down, then like handballed it to Gordon, who then from an offside position came back and scored the goal. After it had basically been out of bounds. And that's another one where like the beginning of that clip where it looks like it might go out of bounds. It kind of looks like it was out of bounds. And they didn't have, like there's such a big, like they need this sort of, what is the standard, clear and compelling or something like that. They need these like really, really big over the top factual differences in order to change anything in the game. But the problem with that is they're not giving them the input. Like to me, it's so easy. There should be a camera pointed down every line so that you can have it lined up perfectly. That's one of the things where I don't trust the offsides rule is they're trying to draw these lines based on a lens that's coming at it from an angle. And I think that's difficult to tell. Whereas,
could you not just have two drones, just like by the back line of whoever is furthest back? It's constantly following them further back and shooting a camera straight across, because that would be a way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would work. But then you'd still need like I think that's the difficult thing about the offsides rule in general is like you have to be logically to enforce it. You have to be looking at two places at once.
Yeah.
You have to be looking at the line and like, is this guy getting behind the defense or getting,
and
but you
ball.
also have to be looking somewhere else where the ball is. And it could be 70 yards away.
Right. And all right. So then we need 3 drones, 2 for each like back of each line, and then one that follows the ball as fast as it can.
Yeah.
But do you need a drone for that? You could just have a camera that shows where the ball is, right? They can sense
it's
where the ball
more fun
is.
if it's a drone.
Balls have sensors.
That's true. I mean, I'm assuming that must be, I don't know. That would be a good one. We'll have to come back and do a little research and tell the people how La Liga does their semi-automated. How did La Liga get such a raging semi?
Do you want me to try and remember what happened with United versus Fulham way back?
If you would like. Or would you? I feel like we could jump also to, because am I wrong that probably the biggest what the fuck over the last week or so was the Champions League result for?
Yeah, I don't like when we go out of order because then it makes it even harder for me to like mentally play by play my way back through what is normally 2 to 6 weeks of missed football. All right, so basically. Fuck, man, I really don't remember what happened in this game, but Bruno won it in stoppage time. It was 0-0. Oh, right. Like Bruno like took a shot at it. It was deflected. The ball went right back to him, and he was able to place it. I don't know, man. It was one of 3 or 4 consecutive. No, I think it's 4 consecutive. Holy shit, what the fuck, barely won at 1-0.
That's kind of crazy.
Manchester United.
You guys do have a pretty embarrassing goal difference for a team that is like in the Champions League.
Because we haven't scored any goals. but that's the concerning part, is that we're not generating any chances. So we have like a moment of holy shit brilliance, like we'll get to it, but like a Victor Lindelof, first goal in 3 years to win. Like somebody's coming up big, and then we're having to defensively hang on for dear life against mid to bottom table opposition.
Yeah.
This game, yeah, like you're excited when your team wins, but it's like we're playing like shit, and we are at the top of the Premier League form table right now. We
Which
have
is
won
wild. You would not guess that.
Yeah, and one of those matches was the ass fucking from Man City, but we've won 4 of 5 in the Premier League, other than the City game, but we've also lost to Newcastle in the Cup, which we covered last podcast. So there's been a bunch of losses throughout other competitions, but beat Fulham, and it took until the dying embers of the match to do it.
Yeah,
we're not Manchester United of old. We are last year's Everton.
I mean, you do bring up an interesting point that if you guys are ahead in the form table, that would mean that everyone that's supposed to be in good form is not, basically, logically speaking. And that is City have dropped points to teams that you didn't expect. Tottenham, Arsenal have, to the point where, not that long ago, it kind of looked like, oh, this is going to be a 3-horse race between Arsenal, Tottenham, and City. And suddenly a fourth horseman of the apocalypse has joined, and Liverpool seem to be in the mix. And does that make you hate life?
Well, in a way, does this feel a little bit like the Leicester season where everybody was tripping over their own dick throughout the whole season? And that's kind of what allowed Leicester to get that early momentum and then, trot home at a good pace. But City look at the moment still great, but vulnerable day to day. What is their midfield going to do? I mean, against us, they had no problem, but we suck. And then Spurs, I was maybe this brought me down a little bit. It brought me back down to reality from our earlier conversations where I was on the big Ange train. And I still
they
think
have proven themselves to be human lately.
Right, but should they not be? The reality is still that they lost Harry Kane and brought in really no one of consequence to fill his shoes.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy how good he's doing too. He's tearing up the Bundesliga. It's crazy.
So did Jadon Sancho for 2 years. So couldn't you and I get on the score sheet there?
I doubt it, but yes.
All right. Well, anyway, let's jump to Arsenal handling Sevilla 2-0 in the Ligue des Champions.
This one was a weird win where this was the home leg in the group stage. We'd already beat Sevilla away, which was a win that I was sort of proud of at the time because they're this team with this European pedigree, and they kind of, on paper, we have Sevilla, PSV, and RC Lens, and of the three, Sevilla kind of looked like the biggest problem, but they are actually in complete disarray as a club. Now that I've played them a second time, I've osmosized just enough information to realize no, they're not. This is not good for them.
Because their coach coaches Aston Villa, so that the team that you maybe had that sort of concern about doesn't exist anymore without him. Sorry.
Exist. And hasn't for a while. He's been gone, and I think they're a team that has always managed to put together certain runs here and there, but for the most part,
Jeff,
I think that they're pretty.
It says my connection is unstable. Are you seeing that upper left or no?
Yeah, you're slowing down here and there. Don't worry, I'll cover for you, bud.
Jeez, I don't know how to. What should I do?
It'll come back, I'm sure.
Okay, all right. Whatever.
But yeah, Arsenal beat Sevilla. Sevilla is not the team that we thought they were, but I think they were very lucky to have this easy Champions League group, and so let's just thank the football gods for that. I think we already have, I believe it's 9 points in the bank. So hopefully we can secure the next round soon. Man, you are really pixelated now.
Yeah, this might be because it started raining and I live in California.
Does the internet go out when it rains in California? That's crazy.
That sounds like an emo song.
Does the internet go when it rains in California?
Oh my God, for a second I thought I was just podcasting with Derek Quimbley of 741. Are you still hearing me okay? Because that's really what matters. That's where our bread and butter is our audio. I'm so sorry. We get a comment on our 50th episode. What a life we're living. And then the rain. Literally, Jeff, when it rains, it pours.
When it rains, it pours. No, I think you might even just go Cam Dark because I can hear your audio 99% correct.
All right. I'm sorry. Sorry to Twitch. This is gonna be real boring. But Jeff, you keep camming. You can still be a cam girl.
Oh yeah, I'm camming, dude. If anything, I'm camming harder now.
Well, I camped. I camped.
Did you cam everywhere at any point during the United versus Copenhagen match? There were some moments where it looked like it was going to be a good.
Oh my god! So the first 20 or so minutes of that match against FC Copenhagen, we were playing well for the first time all season. It was like, holy crap! Like this is aggressive, like going after them. And this felt like a must win considering how our prior performances have been in the Champions League. And Rasmus Højlund bangs in a brace like against his old club. Like it felt poetic. I was like, ooh, I can watch this. This is watchable. And then back to the Ragnarok that we were discussing earlier on. Marcus Rashford in possession of the ball tries to pivot and put his body between the ball and somebody who's coming. And the dude slides in and it basically slides his foot down as Rashford is planting. So Rashford basically plants his cleats right into the dude's ankle. Looks really painful. Definitely a foul. Is it an intentional red card? Is it a red card? Is it a red card if I go put my dick inside of a car door and slam the car door? It's like, yeah, I got really badly hurt, but I put myself in that position by just flying in. I honestly don't think it's a red at all. And I've seen a lot of people say clear cut red, but that's when you are watching in slow motion, it becomes like the death sequence in an action movie where all you're focusing on is how painful that looks. You're not focusing on this. It's like throwing your head to the ground as someone's going to kick the ball. Like trying to do a header on the ground in some sort of defensive clearing maneuver, and then I kick you in the head. It's like, well, that wouldn't have happened if you didn't just try to commit suicide.
True. And all of your insane ways of illustrating that aside, I do think if you were looking for, it's hard to think of a better example of what you were talking about earlier, where it looks bad in slow motion. But if you saw it in real time, he wasn't even challenging for the ball.
Yeah,
he was just boxing out. It's pretty low key. I mean, I think honestly, in the end, I think it probably deserved a yellow, but a red, pretty tough.
And the moment that happens, it takes the wind out of our sails. Of course, we are not capable of playing a man down and winning. I think Liverpool has been a man down and come back and at least drawn, or Liverpool has shown fight when playing a man down.
Yeah.
Have United? No, man, this team is emotional babies right now. So
although if I'm looking back at the sort of the timeline of the game correctly, you guys pulled ahead while a man down. You had that penalty to Bruno,
right? But I'll tell you, Jeff, one of the I would say both of the goals that Copenhagen scored in that second half were horseshit as well. There was a penalty kick for us, which I think did we discuss that? I don't know. Dude, remember when I said I was on Percocet?
Oh, I remember.
Oh, well, guess what?
You are at your finest right now. Try to remember a lot of details.
Oh, yeah, that's clearly not my strength at the moment.
Just give us an emotional tableau of how you were feeling.
It was Mohamed Al-Yunusi scored basically in the 45th minute, but then there was a penalty in the 45th minute plus 9 minutes of stoppage in the first half. So, and I do think I remember the penalty being bullshit. I can't remember what the event was that led to it. I'm sorry, man. This is a dumb idea.
All refs are bastards on this podcast. Arab. So
Rough. I
Arab.
don't know if
Yeah,
I
right.
get behind that. But you're right. Bruno does convert the penalty in the second half that is given to us. But I gotta say, I don't think that was a penalty either. I think there were two penalties that were given in this game, and neither of them should have been given. Which I know
Yeah.
net doesn't change the
Plus
score,
a
but
red
like
card. Yeah.
but the red card shouldn't have happened. Like that changed the whole score. See, I think if that red card doesn't happen, I think we can shut this team out in this game. We are playing really well. We have the wind in our sails,
Yeah.
and like we just do not have it. When anything goes against us, which something's gone against us constantly this season, and if it's not been the like world record like amount of injuries to key players, it's been other players suddenly chucking their form off a cliff. It's been like banishments. It's been sexual assault and departure of that person, and domestic assault and the reintroduction of that person, and it's been something every fucking day. And I gotta say, Jeff, maybe this wasn't specifically the topic. This season, it has been exhausting to be a United fan.
It does seem like it hasn't been a lot of fun. I
No,
mean, are you excited then that you will probably be done having to be a fan of Champions League games soon?
why don't you ask yourself that question and imagine how it might feel to answer it, and then
It's a
we can
weird
just
one
do
though,
that.
because ultimately, it's not like you guys think you're winning the Champions League this year. I don't even think we're
No,
winning the Champions League this year, and we're doing better. But like at the same time,
are you saying
if
Europa League is maybe more attainable? So go get that.
no, I mean that's kind of what you did last year. Is like you
We
won.
didn't go get that though.
No, but like you sort of went after you won these sort of tin pot cups. But like I, which is kind of what Europa League is. I actually think you could thread the needle perfectly here. If you manage to finish fourth in your group, then you don't have to play in Europa League, and you can have the opposite kind of season that you had last year, where it's like, all right,
But
we're gonna
there's a
have one
financial
game a
hit.
week, boys. Let's figure this out. We're all pretty good,
But
you know.
progressing in any competition pays you millions of pounds, which
True.
which honestly, Jeff, we are
Do
right
you
now.
think you need like you really want like that
We
one
can't.
more
No,
round or one or two?
I don't. It's well, we shouldn't. The team that did as well as we did last year should not be this big of an embarrassment with some additions. Like it doesn't
Right.
make sense. But it's like the Luke Shaw and the Lissandro Martinez injuries have changed the way that we play, in that we cannot progress the ball out of the back without the two players who can do that. Harry Maguire is like a distant third for being able to do that, which is why he's been playing lately. But like Martinez and Shaw also allow us to have the better defender and Rafael Varane playing. Varane cannot pass right now, and there's some weird Ten Hag like footedness
Mm.
OCD that's happening, and that's why Varane isn't playing. But dude, I am rambling like an idiot. But like, yeah, we're just not good. I'm not happy with not playing any further European football, which is what your question was. So I remembered
Right.
that.
Oh, good for you.
No, I'm not.
But
And I keep.
there's no level because sometimes like even like the FA Cup, which is a competition that like I think is worth winning, sometimes you fall out of it and you're like, maybe that's okay.
Yeah, because it's unlikely you were gonna win it, and it's not paying. Like the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup,
Yeah.
from FIFA.
Yeah.
Like if you win the whole damn thing, you win like two
A
million
few million
pounds.
bucks, yeah, at most.
Which
Yeah.
that's just what United has to pay the lawyers that they use to defend players against criminal allegations. So
This could be a totally like wrong-headed thing to even bring up right now, but why the fuck are the League Cup and the FA Cup not monetized better? Like
I don't know.
those properties, these are some of the best players in the world
Because
playing. It's basically a Premier League game for like
well,
all, you know what I mean?
Champions League is a global like cash printing
Sure.
machine. And the little local cuppity cups aren't as big of a draw outside of the two teams that are playing. Like, I'm not gonna watch the FA Cup if it's like West Ham versus Spurs. Like, I don't care.
I will when it's later. I will when it's good. Like I watched the FA Cup final
Only only if it's a great
or the
matchup, but
semis.
like sometimes it's not. It's usually not. I mean, did
Even
you
then,
watched but you
that's
watched the
kind of a
derby.
nice. That's kind of a
You watched
nice
the
one though. When it's like when it's Bradford City versus Arsenal in a semifinal. It's like, oh, I kind of do want to see that actually.
Wait, so Jeff, you would watch Arsenal in the semifinal? I'm shocked.
I would watch Arsenal in any cup semifinal. But even if it's the shoe on the other foot, I was bringing up one of our worst moments as a club for some reason. But if it was Bradford City versus, United in a semifinal, like, yeah, let's see it. Like, I like that sort of March Madness aspect of it. My whole thing is that I get that it's not the Champions League. And the Champions League, you win that, you get like 100 million. This doesn't seem like it should be that. I don't know. It seems like
But
they should be able to
it's
make some money
based
on it.
on eyeballs because the deals for these things are all negotiated. Like you still have like was it parent who picked up the FA Cup in I guess you wouldn't know because you live in the UK, you don't live here. I think it's like ESPN might show it or something, ESPN Plus. Like
I
they're
think
all
that's their
bidding for these
problem. They're
properties, but
so interested in like cashing in on these like short-term TV deals. Like for the FA Cup, just put it online. Stream it on YouTube and get, you would make more money on the ads because that's the other thing. If it was easily available,
would
I think
they?
that's the real difficulty. Is like it's always on that other channel. You're not even sure if you have it. Fuck it, I'll do something else tonight,
I might be high, but I disagree with you, and I would like to respectfully explain why.
Okay.
I think you put that on YouTube. The way that ads function for football is they play them before and they play them at halftime, and I'll just look away for 15 minutes. Like I set a timer on, and I'll go squeeze in a game of FIFA,
Yeah.
or sorry, EAFC 24, which is the most frustrating gallstone of a video game that has ever existed. But like I think that the eyeballs would drop off. So I do think you do need to get that money, whether it's through a pay to view sort of subscription channel but we've mentioned it before, and we're not the only people with this idea. Like the FA should just have their own fucking app,
Yeah.
and you charge $15 a month for it, and every person will pay,
Yeah.
and they will just get all that money directly to them.
Yeah. It's a great
The
idea.
only reason that cable companies like do it the way that they're doing it now is they're getting a big cut of that. So like, why not just keep all of it? And like, I'm yeah, like kind of fuck cable companies.
Yeah.
Am I
I
allowed
mean,
to
it's
have that
it's
posture?
yeah, it's that, but it's interesting to think how much different it would be. Hey, he's back. It's interesting to think how much different it would be if there hadn't been this sort of corporate spin-off plan called the Premier League initially, because then the Football League, which now all they control is like the worst cup. But like it used to be that was the Football
But the
League.
Premier League is still a part of it, isn't it? Like the FA still who disciplines the players and who like
The
organizes
FA is
everything.
different than the Football League. So there's
Sorry,
like
I
the
meant the FA. What did I say?
No, you said the FA, but I mean but I was saying so there's like the Football League as in EFL, as in EFL Cup, Carabao Cup. They used to be in charge of the top division. Now they're in charge of Championship down and the EFL Cup, so the Carabao Cup. Then there's the FA, and
All right, so
they
then
were,
FA Cup and Premier League, but still.
but it's like without the Premier League, then there would be a really credible argument for there just being an EFL app. You know what I mean? And it's like, they're all actually sort of united, and it would make sense money wise, and like the negotiations would make sense. It'll never happen now because it's 3 people already just within
Wait,
England.
is Carabao Cup just Premier League or is Carabao Cup?
Oh no, it's like the whole league system, but it's like
No, but that's isn't that the FA Cup? I thought was whole league system.
it's both.
All right, so then controversial opinion. What if we cut
You know what's
out the
crazy
Carabao Cup?
Well, I mean, it's not that controversial because a lot of people have said it. And the whole point of it was like this stupid fundraiser years ago where they're like, oh, yeah, let's have this other cup and but now it's like kind of enshrined. There's even more than that, though, because like the EFL has like this Papa John's trophy or some bullshit that's like
And
for the
that's
lower
just
leagues.
non-Premier League, right?
There's something to be said for like, I mean, it's not going to make them any money to get the Premier League teams out of it. But like, if you're looking for a reason for it to exist, why not have that EFL Cup, Carabao Cup, we're calling it now, whatever it was before. But like, why not have that be, I don't know, not Arsenal versus everyone else, not United. You know what I mean? Like, make it the younger players from the Premier
Like
League teams, or
U23,
make
like the
make this
Olympics
like
is
a
U23.
make it like, that's actually an interesting way to do it, because then it becomes this fun competition to watch. Where it's like, now it's like all these teams are sold this dream and they play all these games, and then they just come up against a juggernaut, and then Haaland goes and scores 4 goals against them.
And it forces you to also rotate all of your younger players who maybe don't get a lot of minutes. Whereas I feel like the way it has been is, if you feel like a severely youthful weakened side, like, you get in trouble for doing that. Which, like, there's just too much football. I mean, we are the football podcast that loves to keep bringing up how there's too much football, but like,
Yeah.
it's
We're
just,
not a part of the problem. We only do this like once a month now. So
yeah, there's not too much meat the Soccers. There's just the right amount, I think. But like, every podcast that I listen to about football, every show, like recap show, even just when I'm watching matches, every team is having like almost record-setting numbers of injuries. It's not even just United anymore. Like there are more and more clubs that are just getting screwed, and it's all coming down to like these players' bodies are just like being beaten to death over years without any sort of sense of what is fair and like what is tolerable, what is scientifically tolerable.
yeah.
It's a bummer. And then we get shittier football, or we get like really weird effed up seasons that don't need to be that way. Money.
I just found out that song was recorded a few blocks away from here. Not at
Was
Abbey
it?
Road, but at this other studio. It's a British band. You wouldn't guess that. You would have thought American.
Oh,
right?
wait, who is that band?
Oh, I'm trying to remember now. I can't remember. They were on RAK Records. Let's see.
RAK Records? Rack. That's the Percocet talking. But Jeff, I would love
Mickey
to
Most.
invite you. Mickey Most?
Maybe.
Well, I'm glad they had at least one hit. I've never heard them before. Jeff, are you still paying attention to the ticker? Because it says Arsenal. Did you just turn it off? Why'd you do that?
Oh, I was trying to turn it on to that one, but it was already on that one.
This is vintage.
I was about to segue very expertly into this.
Okay.
To be honest, this was a nothing of a game. Like, Burnley were a team that I really had high hopes for, because they had done so well in the Championship, and they had Company as the manager. And I just thought they're going to come in and know what they're doing. They're going to be like mid-table and sort of surprise some people. And they have been kind of predictable and shit. And I don't have a lot of interesting shit to say about them.
Well, you beat them a little better than we did. That was another one of our 1-0 Hail Mary games. So like, oh no, was it not 1-0? Was that the McTominay winner? Fuck, dude, I shouldn't have a soccer podcast.
No, I think you're very capable. It's noticeable how much we're missing you in the midfield now that your brain is on Percocet.
No, right, so we beat Burnley 1-0 in September, and I do not remember who scored. I guess it was it Bruno? Who the fuck scored in this
Safe
match?
bet with this team.
This is a great. Was this the Johnny Evans to Bruno? This was the one where Bruno hit that like thunderbolt off of a Johnny Evans pass out of the back.
I vaguely remember that.
I remember it being like, I think it was like goal of the month, actually.
Wow.
Which I have to look for those moments this season, Jeff. I have to get those little goal of the month cookies, or like cutest foul or like whatever I'm after. So anyway,
The Audi man of the match.
who scored for you in this match? Give me some deets because I didn't pay attention and I am not plugged into the Matrix right now.
It was a 3 p.m. game, so I will say this: I did not watch it live. Odegaard was out from injury.
Did you get to do like a rewatch in some capacity?
I just rewatched like a lot of the highlights. There's certain Arsenal sites that post like very, very extended highlights, and so I'll end up doing that. But like these 3 p.m. these 3 p.m. games, killer. But yeah, we had Trossard scored, Saliba scored, and Alexander Zinchenko. Oh, and then weirdly, Fabio Vieira managed to get himself sent off. It was a similar situation to the Rashford thing where it's like this guy clearly didn't mean anything by it, but okay, well, fuck it. All right, I guess you have to send him off for that, but this guy weighs 100 pounds. He's not exactly like mixing it up out there.
Have you ever experienced it in pickup or whatnot when there's like someone who goes down who is infinitely bigger than the person that he's suggesting fouled him?
Yeah, that's tough. Honestly, even when I watch the difference between like women's game and men's game, I feel like the men get away with so many bullshit fouls like that where like they just know like the referee doesn't want this game to turn on this one weird little interaction on the wing. So rather than me like actually earning my keep here and keeping the ball and like doing something with it, I'm just gonna let him push me over. And they pretty much call it every time. Whereas like they do not do that in the women's game. And then as a result of it, like nobody really tries to go for those like cheap fouls where you feel someone breathe on your back and you fall down.
Can I suggest a possibly cancelable theory as to why there is that distinction between the men's and the women's game?
Ooh, yes.
And it's not what you think. It's not sexist.
Okay.
If anything, I'm going to explain how it's conditionally learned. Okay. So all of the like, I don't want to say diving, but like, let's say embellishment, like to win at any cost, I feel like historically has come from Latin America, South America. You could argue like Spain, Portugal. Like that's where you historically witnessed it. And like even the Premier League, before Premier League, like it was more like physical brutality than it was like, flopping over. Like that has origin points that can be traced for sure. Men's game comes up in all of these different places. And then as it becomes global leagues, you bring that influence with you. So now every league is basically like win at all costs because you've got players that have learned that from whether they grew up in the favelas playing or, they're, your Ronaldo falling over, winking kind of stuff. Like
right.
That's been learned and brought up into the men's game, and it's become a part of the men's game from people who watch the men's game. With the women's game being more recent that they've had professional leagues, and it feels like it's more been the World Cup and the Olympics that have been women's soccer outlets for only as long as that's been happening, which hasn't been forever, right? So I'm thinking because the women's game is more modern, maybe there just wasn't that exposure to that behavior.
I mean, that's interesting though, because it's like, they're watching the men's games too, though, right? Like, why doesn't it cross-pollinate that way?
I wouldn't assume. I mean, I know women watch the men's game, men watch women's game, but like, I'm speaking in more. How do you explain this as a trend? There are women. Or there are female players who have dived. They dived, but yes, but there is this air of more. What's the word? It's not competence. It's like ethics.
It's like it's almost like a cynicism.
Sportsmanship. No, but there's more. There's more of an air of like integrity, which I'm not taking away from women's leagues but like we are so used to watching Women's World Cup and Olympics, which it's like the fucking Goodwill Games in a lot of capacities. Like, I would say there's not no diving, but less diving in the World Cup than there is in domestic leagues.
Yeah.
I would say that because all eyes are on it, and it's like you're representing your country. Like, don't behave. I mean, and there are moments. There's your Zinedine Zidane type moments. Like, things happen, but we're used to watching it with all of this goodwill built around it that doesn't really exist with like domestic professional sports. Sports for money. Sports for honor is different than sports for money.
Yeah,
and
that is an interesting take. I do not agree, but it is an interesting take. I would
okay. Then give me your counterpoint here.
I think in general, and this actually could get me canceled because I hope it's not sexist, but I think there's so much more. I think that women are better at the fundamentals of sports, often because they're
smarter.
Like, I feel like a lot of girls that even like really athletic girls, like the way that they start playing sports is they start playing sports in an organized situation where they're getting like coached on fundamentals. And that could be everything from sort of like the sportsmanship of the game of like, these are don't do this. Don't be Neymar, like that kind of thing, all the way to like, this is how you dribble. And I think as a result, like if you look at like the average WNBA shooter, they have like a textbook form. Whereas like if you look at like any NBA shooter, they all have their own sort of idiosyncratic form that like, fits, it's just like with their style. And I think it's because like a lot of bad habits that men bring into the game, they bring it from like a pickup situation. And like, I get that obviously women play pickup games too. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of caveats to everything I just said, but
that's interesting. I feel like that doesn't necessarily disagree with the etymology of where I think it's coming from in the men's game, though.
The etymology. I'm gonna let that slide. That's not the definition.
Like
of
the origin. Like,
yeah.
Sorry, I mean etymology is origin of a word, but like where is the diving coming from? Where is the embellishment coming from? I think I was imagining it. All right, fine, whatever. We can just move on. Arsenal 3, Burnley 1. No. You know what? This isn't admissible in court. I've concluded that I'm on doctor-prescribed medications, and they are making me wacky. I would not be a fit witness in a court case.
To be fair, I did say this was on the record at the beginning. This interview.
I don't remember that. And if I don't remember it, it didn't happen.
Speaking is there anything of, if I don't that remember was worth remembering at the United Luton game?
Oh God, I know. Right, yeah, so we discussed a little bit of it earlier when there was a goal scored that was ruled offside in the first couple of minutes. I want to say. Right. Sure. I don't remember who the hell it was. Damn it, man. I had the United results up and I closed them. Like I actually closed them, and I have the Arsenal ones up. Why? All right, Luton. Jeez, I am Tal Bachman because she's so high. All right, whatever. I can't even find out a way to tell you who scored. And I just watched this match. Oh, yeah, Victor Lindelof. I said it earlier in the podcast.
Oh, that was this one.
Yeah, but it was his first goal for 3 years. And and Jeff, I texted you this.
Yes, you did. You have to tell your side of the story.
So, although what I texted Jeff also requires a strong amount of I believe you, you have to believe me. You have to believe in me, listener.
Believe us, really, because I'm also.
Well, but Jeff wasn't in bed, like lying there with me, like.
True.
Where have you gone,
Jeff? Particular morning.
Jeff went out for milk 12 years ago and never came home. But like, I had this weird like premonition. I woke up, stupid early to watch the game, and then like I had this premonition, like. Victor Lindelof is going to start, and it's going to be like a 1-0 fluky Victor Lindelof goal. Like, I said that to myself and, like, laughed because I was trying to imagine what would happen in the 5 minutes before the game. And, like,
You're
I
right.
should have said something. I didn't. And then after that's exactly what happened. Jeff, I almost feel like we should pull up like the text conversation. Maybe that'll sound convincing. And if I'm reading from a script, maybe I won't sound so stupid. All right, here we go. So 9 a.m., which is probably the conclusion of the match. I just texted you and I said, you don't have to believe me. But when I woke up, I said to myself, Lindelof is going to score a random goal. I swear on your life. So I wasn't willing to wager on my own life. But Jeff, you're like a top
That's
5
big though.
life.
I was gonna say, I feel like you would still you would literally mourn that. It wouldn't be like nothing. You weren't
No,
wagering Trent
it's like,
Alexander-Arnold's life.
I mean, I would wager his life.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd wager his life like in one of those crane games at the arcade for
Yeah.
like whatever prize that they
Insert
might
4
have.
more Trent Alexander-Arnolds to continue.
Oh, also, the other thing you wanted me to read was I texted you last week and said I have a new nickname for Rasmus Højlund that I came up
Oh
with.
yes, good.
And it's not. I'm not saying they're equivalent, but just in the way he plays and his attitude and his energy and like the physicality and the spirit of seeing him play, I think Rasmus Højlund should be called Dane Rooney. Because he's the Danish Wayne Rooney. If I have to explain that to you, I don't know.
I like it. I think that it should be a T-shirt.
Okay. Do you think it's gettable enough? Do you need some? It just as a word, is it understandable? It sounds like
maybe
some like old lady.
Maybe you need like his number on the back or something. I don't know.
Dane Rooney, who is the new Q in 007.
Dane Rooney.
Dane Rooney Wrench.
What number is Højlund?
God, I don't know.
So many quizzes today.
So like, dude, this isn't the day. I normally know this stuff.
Because and then I went on to say your little slogan of "Let the Dane cook."
Yeah, that is funny, and it did take me another 3 seconds to get it again. Even though I think both times you caught me in an off moments with a really good joke. But all right, I'm there. Yes.
So
and then
use
Dane
that
Cook,
as you will.
Dane Cook sends us a cease and desist.
Dane Cook, enemy of the pod.
I told you that I saw that he was like my first stand-up show post pandemic.
And then he like crushed, right?
No, it's that he had an emotional, soul-bearing evening, and I empathized with him as a human being, and that fucked me up. I just had him in this very comfortable, like, worse Adam Sandler.
2003, yeah.
Yeah. Wow, I have no energy. Let's just bring it home. All right, so Jeff, you will not be able to watch the game tomorrow, but the United States is playing 2 matches against Trinidad and Tobago. That team that knocked us out of the 2 World Cup, and it's for the Nations League, which is like, hey, what if we gave a cool brand name to friendlies?
Yeah.
You know who tried to do that? Friendlies, the restaurant, and it didn't work. They went out of business. But
even
anyway,
with all those sponsorships of every non-World Cup game, basically.
They should have claimed that as a joke. They would still be in business.
They'd still be in business.
That would be the Instagram post that would like drag them over the line.
There's like 6 of them left in Brazil or something now.
But on, I think it's Monday, they are playing at 4:00 Pacific time, which would only be that'd be 30 minutes from now. So you could watch it if you wanted to.
I'm not going to.
You never watch us anymore. You never watch us minute.
How's former Arsenal starlet Balogun doing?
He scored a Bala goal against whoever it was that we 4-0'd the last international break.
He was off to the races at first with Monaco as well. Like he had like 3 goals in his first 4 games or something like that. But I think he still only has like 4 goals for the season. So I'm kind of worried that he's not repeating the magic that he had last year at least in the league.
I mean, well, the sophomore slump is the thing. That was his first season of first team football, wasn't it?
Yeah. Plus, he had to like because it's coming on loan. That's like such a weird thing where like now he has to adjust to a new team and a new everything.
It's like every day is the first day of the year. Sorry, that was another emo song lyric.
Yeah, I was like, wait, is this like a 10 things I hate about you quote that I'm not getting
I'm
or
just
something?
a kid. I don't know. No, I think what I meant to say was it was like moving to a new school every year. You have to start over
Yeah.
each time. And like that means starting over with the way the team plays, starting over with them knowing what you're all about and how to incorporate you. And that's a new manager, it's a new city. Sometimes it's a new language. Yeah,
Could be.
being if you crush on a loan, I think that's like something to be proud of.
Yeah. People say, hey, good job. Come back and sit on the bench. That's what they usually say. It's weird how often like guys will be really, really good after the fact. But like you look back and you're like, you were on loan like last year to Middlesbrough. Like, how are you not? Now you're like an actual good Premier League player. What?
Well, sometimes it's taking the one or two traits that you have that are excellent and putting. If you're just like a pacey ass winger, maybe you weren't getting the ball from Middlesbrough, they weren't reaching you. But like if you're playing for I don't know, like a team like yours, then like that might lead to you being in way better positions to exploit your pace. Look at me, man. I'm like either lucid or I don't remember my name.
We should drop the theme song right on that because that's as lucid as you're gonna get, my friend.
Lucid
and definitely
in the
as lucid as
sky
I'm gonna get.
with Jeff Fitkin.
Oh, lucid with Schuyler.
And
that's
Vitkin.
A diamond.
There's a diamond in the rough. No, a diamond in the night.
Diamond in the night. What?
Neil Diamond.
Meet the suckers. Meet